What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Golf on Tap. I'm Jack Bushman, here as always with Ross Baran. We got Uncle Tweeth back on the show. That usually means something important is going down this week. That, of course, is the case with the year's third major championship, the U.S. Open at Oakmont, which we haven't seen since 2016. I know there's been a lot of talk about how demanding and difficult it's going to play, so definitely excited to talk it through with all you boys. But first, Tweeth, on the road, in the hotel as usual, dialed in the hotel, by the way, specific room, seasoned veteran. How are we feeling about the U.S. Open this week, my man?
Dude, we're feeling good. We're back in Pittsburgh. I did not have an Oakmont visor. If anybody wants to get me one, DM me for the address. But I did have a Fox Chapel visor, and this is some Pittsburgh royalties. This is for my Yinzers, for my guys with their Iron City beer, representing the Pittsburgh General Metroplex.
Absolutely love it. And Ross is dialed with the attire here today as well. We got the Oakmont hat, the Oakmont shirt you can see in the background, 125th U.S. Open banner up on the wall. And we're dialed with the socks as well. I was told this was something I specifically had to bring up on the show. Give the listeners a little bit of a spiel here. It sounds like something.
Do we do free ads? Does OnTap do free ads? Are we free adding right now? Guys,
we're pretty much into it already, but Tweeth has the rundown on the socks that golfers need to be rocking out there on the course.
Feel free to bleep this until the Hanes Corporation pays us whatever we deserve here. But if you're looking for great athletic socks, you could do a lot worse than the Hanes Absolute Active. Great socks, you guys. I'm going to keep the free ad to there, but just, I think it's like $13 for a 4-pack at Target. Like, highly recommend.
All right.
Well, the least they could do is just send us all, a care package and take care like the next year.
Somebody tag Hanes in this. If you're listening to this right now and you're on Twitter, tag the Hanes Corporation so that they send the three of us free socks.
I expect to see Hanes in the comment section here any second now, but at the very least, send me a couple of pairs so I don't have to be the odd man out of this conversation any longer and have no idea what the hell you guys are talking about. But before we get into the U.S. Open at Oakmont, everything we want to talk about there, did want to bring up last week's RBC Canadian Open as Ryan Fox picks up his second win of the season, taking down Sam Burns in a playoff. The RBC Canadian Open continues to give us drama, although there was kind of 3 playoff holes of very boring golf before
drama?
We got it. We got it eventually, and we had to go and change pin locations in order to get it. But Tweeth, I wanted to bring this up in particular because since you've been coming on the show this year, in particular for the major championships, you've been talking about how you've been targeting guys or just the players you think are going to win or guys who have already won major championships. Well, in regular PGA Tour events this season, multiple winners have been a reoccurring theme. We've now seen Ryan Fox win twice. Ben Griffin's, of course, won twice. Scotty Scheffler, 1.5. He did. I mean, Andrew Novak wasn't carrying the mail down the stretch there, though. I promise you that. It was Benny G. But Scotty and Rory obviously have their 3 wins.
Sepp Straka. Don't leave Sepp Straka out.
I was there for both of them. I would not leave out my boy Big Titty Sepp, but another guy who's probably going to be popular this week. Multiple winners have just been a theme on the PGA Tour this year. I just thought that was kind of interesting given that's been your major conversation all year.
And Foxy's a classy guy, man. Like great, tidy game. Obviously the playoff, listen, that hole wasn't going to give you a good playoff, and it didn't. It also suffered a little bit from being kind of like it was the back end of a really, really good tennis match. And so, like, I don't know, about the rest of you guys. Like, I watched the end of that tennis match, like, absolutely glued to it. And so by the time it got to the golf, it was like, oh, we're getting bonus golf. That's kind of fun. And then we got, 3 pars in a row. It was just like, I don't know that this is fun. Like, the contrast could not have been more stark. You had Sinner and Alcaraz just giving every bit of sweat they had to just win a point. And then you had like, okay, I'm gonna lay up to 90 and I'm gonna hit it to 15 feet. I'm gonna 2-putt. I'm gonna leave a birdie. If I'm Fox, I'm gonna leave a 6-foot birdie putt a foot short. Like it was not the effort we were looking for. But kudos to Foxy. Like great player. Yeah, I not to spoil picks for this week. He won't be in my list because he's never won a major, and we'll revisit that take when it comes time to it. But flowers where they're due. I did not enjoy TPC's Toronto. Wasn't for me. According to my guy, Live Golf Buff, if he's listening, the Hoot course there is way better than the tournament course they used for this week. I'm going to have to trust him on that. Don't think I'm going to get up to Toronto to play it anytime soon. Wasn't for me.
Tweeth, I had a question for you. Ryan Fox, when he addresses the ball on the drive, the only thing I could think of, because he's so open. Do you remember the?
Yeah. He's the Penguin.
Yes. Do you remember like the late 90s, early 2000s baseball player for the Orioles, Melvin Mora?
Oh, yeah.
That you stand wide fucking open, like quite literally would stand like this. That's all I could think of for the entire weekend watching him.
So as a Husky boy, and I'm a little bit of a unit like my guy Ryan Fox.
You got to get around.
We have very similar builds. I think I could wear most of the stuff in his closet. I think we're probably like maybe the exact same height.
Honestly, same here.
So like if you're gonna turn right, if you got like if you got a tank a little bit in the mids, if you're a thick boy and you're gonna turn, you can't do it with your feet pointed right at the tee. You gotta flare a little bit to get some turn. And like, I'll tell you what, it's not comfortable. Like, I don't like doing it, but the more you get used to it, the better you get at it. Once I started flaring that back foot a little bit, I gained a few yards off the tee. And I think like that is not unrelated to how far he hits it. Because if you got that much mass and you got to get it turned, you better flare those feet out, buddy, because our hips are not unlocked. We're not flexible. We're not a flexible tribe.
Ross, that's so funny you bring that up, because I was actually at a good family friends picnic grill out on Saturday afternoon, and one of my good buddies has been a big Ryan Fox guy the last couple of years. I don't even know how it started, but he's on cloud 9 with Foxy winning two of his last 4 starts. But he literally pulled up a picture on Saturday afternoon. He was like, do you see how the fuck Ryan Fox stands when he hits his driver? Yeah. So it was just funny that you brought that up. But
can we talk about how quick Ryan Fox plays too?
I was just about to bring that up. Great vibes from Ryan Fox. Just seems like an all-around good dude, the type of lad you'd want to go and get a beer with. Shout out to him for his quick pace of play. I mean, before he roped that 3-wood or hybrid, whatever it was, to like 9 feet.
5-wood, I think.
Just jumped right up in front of the ball. And I mean, even throughout that playoff, he was just walking so fast, trying to get the job done.
He was to the green when Sam Burns' chip came up. I mean, it was just like he's walking right past. It's like that motherfucker is not going to hold up pace of play at all.
For a big fella, he was absolutely trotting out there. But shout out to Ryan Fox for continuing to back up his nice run that he's been on, pays off his 2nd victory of the year. Also wanted to give a shout out to the New Zealand boys. It was the whites
all
that
whites.
were, the all whites that were in the crowd. I loved in the interview. They're like, oh, you know Ryan Fox? They're like, no, we're just rooting for a fellow Kiwi. Absolutely loved that.
You know about his dad though, right? Do your listeners know about Ryan Fox's dad?
Well,
I'm sure they talked about it on the broadcast.
Hall of Fame rugby player, right?
Yeah, like a big deal. One of my best buddies at the club is a Kiwi, and like first thing he told, like years ago, he's like, "You got to watch this guy, Ryan Fox." By the way, his dad is like the Michael Jordan of New Zealand rugby. Like he's the biggest guy. So yeah, like they all know who Ryan Fox is for sure. By the way, if you guys haven't, do you guys know that show on? I think it's on Amazon. It's called All or Nothing, and it's like a season long. They'll follow a sports team for a whole season, and they did one. They did like an Eagles one at one point, and I think they did a couple others that were like, it's kind of like Hard Knocks or whatever.
Yeah.
But it started outside of the NFL, and they did one on the New Zealand All Blacks rugby team that is like one of the best sporting documentaries you can watch. It's awesome. And so the New Zealand All Blacks rugby it's wild. And that season of All or Nothing, it's one of their first seasons, I think, but it's really, really, really good. If you want like a multi-episode sports documentary, 8 or 10 episodes, something like that, friggin' great. Highly recommend it.
Just jotted it down.
And I need to say, if there was not a better way to be a magician like Tweeth is, for All or Nothing, I just need to give a shout out to our other friend of the program, Larry from Tom and Marty's, for hitting the first leg of a back-to-back parlay with Ryan Fox. And Larry today went out guns a-blazing saying, I ain't cashing.
Yeah.
For $20, Larry is now on the line for $184,000 if Cam Young wins this weekend.
You guys know that episode of The Office where Kevin's like, if John Mellencamp ever wins an Oscar, I'm going to be a really rich guy.
Yeah.
That's like how I feel about Larry's Cam Young ticket. Like, I hope it wins. And I hope he gets a really good sweat out of it. Like, I hope Cam Young is like top 10. He's in the last couple groups. But like, he's got 184,000 on the line. If Cam Young, a man with 0 wins the hardest major at the hardest golf course.
Oh, okay. But I'm going to admit, Jack and I have had this conversation since Jack and I met. My biggest thing I have always said is if you came to me, if we got in a time machine and went 5 years in the future, and we all found out, if someone told us that Cam Young won a U.S. Open before he won a PGA Tour event, I would actually believe you.
Yeah, I don't think anybody would for sure. I think I was listening to Shotgun Start this week, and they made this point where, like, there's a lot of guys with shorter odds than Cam Young who are not going to win. And who you'd rather have Cam Young then. So we don't have to go all the way into picks or whatever, but, like, my guy Larry, $184,000 on the line. I hope you get a good sweat out of it, buddy. And I hope
let alone
cash out offer to something that's worth it to you.
I was gonna say he did the noble thing. He showed what the cash out was and said, "I ain't doing it." 1,100 already
when it's $25,000.
Yeah, that conversation could heat up real quick over the weekend, especially because we know what Cam Young does down the stretch. We just saw it this past weekend, folks.
I want to see him in solo 4th after the 3rd round to see what the cash out offer is then.
That's a real decision time then. But this last thing I wanted to bring up on the RBC Canadian Open, one of the lowest dog events I've seen in quite a while. And it's pretty incredible that Ryan Fox is the one who got it done, considering he's notorious for missing like 3-foot putts from time to time. And we saw him.
And he did miss 3 of them on Sunday. 2 in regulation and 1 in the playoff.
Yeah, he was not putting very well, but Burns obviously missed the 5-footer to get his first win since the 2023 Charles Schwab Challenge. We get Cam Young making a 6 on the par 5 18th to miss out on the playoff. Got to bring up my guy Shane Lowry doing typical Shane Lowry things, going on an absolute heater to open up the round, and then once he seriously gets in contention, can't make a putt outside of 3 feet. Nick Taylor couldn't make any putts whatsoever for me on the final round as well. Lots of guys blowing up there down the stretch. Mateo, he couldn't make.
If Mateo could just do anything, literally anything.
If he could not stand over the ball for so long.
Yeah, dude, if Mateo could have done anything Sunday.
Our guy Scold Wedge would call Shane Lowry a first responder in this scenario, which is as soon as others are in trouble, he rushes back to help them and clears the way for and we're going to talk about Shane Lowry again here in a minute. When
we will.
Preview and we talk about 2016. So let's put a pin in Shane Lowry's inability to close out a tournament on in June.
Yeah, as someone who was there last week, and I was there at the Memorial, had Shane Lowry tickets. It's been a painful stretch. It's gonna be hard for me to get back on him here and now.
Also, I'm just gonna be fair that Jack and I called out Sam Burns last week on the show.
Great point. I was scared for a minute.
We did call out Sam Burns and tell him no, like, you got to earn your way. I'm actually going to reverse that and say, Sam, I did appreciate that you responded. You responded. You went out and did something. But I'm also going to be completely honest that it was time for me to do the exchange with the little man with his mom when they went into the playoff. And I literally just walked out the door because I was like, oh, Sam's been sitting there for fucking almost 2 hours at this point. Not a chance.
Yeah.
Definitely was not in his favor.
He gave himself a 5.5-foot putt to win the whole thing on the first playoff hole. It just didn't. My wife picked him even with that. So I was rooting for him, but it didn't work out for him.
Even with that, like when I saw that Ryan Fox nailed that putt, I was like, no, Sam's been too cold. Sam's been sitting around. It doesn't matter how talented you are when you sit around that long. Like just
tough.
It's gonna come through when Ryan Fox is hitting the shots of his life right now to even force this to occur. Like you're not going to just walk in off the street cold after an hour and a half and go and beat that guy. It doesn't matter if you're more talented than that guy. That guy's going to win. It's just a matter of time.
Especially
I was out there.
Especially coming off of like all the adrenaline from going nuclear on that back nine and making the clutch putt on the 18th just to even go and post that number, right? Then you got to go and sit around, like let all the emotions drain after that. I had a feeling it was going to be a little tough for Sam, but like Tweeth said, he gave himself an opportunity, and the best putter on the PGA Tour this season, really the only part of his game that's been consistent, unfortunately let him down.
And not for nothing, but like, and Ross, I don't know if you saw how it ended, but like, you can't fucking three putt. I don't care if you hit it 60 feet from the pin, which I mean, he was probably 40, 45. It was a long way. And Ryan Fox.
Welcome to my life, buddy.
Like, Ryan Fox has missed 3 sub-6 footers in the last 13 holes that he's played.
Exactly.
Like, you have to two putt there. Have to. And I know he was trying to make it, and it is what it is. But like, you know, I was rooting for him. Like I said, my wife picked him. You know, just you cannot fucking three putt. You can't just hand it to him and let him lag one from 5 feet. And that's what he did. He's just like, he two putted from 5 feet to win the damn thing. You can't let him do that to you. And so Sammy, there was a yeoman's effort from Sam to get in the house at 18 or whatever he was at. But gotta do better than that in the playoff. Gotta make the downhill 5-footer. Gotta two putt from 40 feet. Gotta chip it onto the green from 70 yards away when they move the pin up front. You got to do those things. You got to execute. You can't open the door 3 times and expect Ryan Fox not to walk through it one of the 3.
Yeah, unacceptable mistakes in crunch time.
You can't be Cam Young on 18.
And you're going to have a bad time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all I think that's enough time that we needed to spend on the RBC Canadian Open, but third major championship of the season. Let's get to the meat and potatoes. Oakmont Country Club. Before we talk about specific players in general, guys, I'm just curious your overall thoughts on Oakmont, because it's par 70, 7,372 yards. It's not the typical super long U.S. Open style tracks that we've seen in recent rotation. It's still a pretty long golf course, but it's not like Kiowa or something that's 8,100 yards. Absolutely ridiculous. But obviously, last time we saw it in 2016, Dustin Johnson finally got the win in the major at -4 with a 1-stroke penalty. Only 4 players finished under par. We've seen lots of videos. I think everyone and their mother who's been on site has dropped a golf ball in the rough. There's been Bryson DeChambeau's video. There have been some rumblings about an over par potential final score. Tweeth, I'm just curious your overall thoughts on Oakmont and what type of test specifically you think we're going to get this week.
Proper golf course. Not the same golf course as 2016. That's been well traveled. It's been redone. Gil Hanse removed 3,000 trees. I don't know. I did watch the final round from 2016 this weekend, and it looks very different. Like if you watch any of the content leading up to it, all the holes are still there. They're still the same holes. There's not a par 5 where par 3 used to be or anything like that. They're remarkably the same footprint, but very, very, very different golf course. And I think the what has been done to it will allow what is, in my opinion, the best feature of Oakmont to be seen, which is the contour of the fairways and the playing surfaces, the uneven lies and the little ditches that are along the sides of holes and stuff like that. Obviously, the Church View bunker is well traveled, but it's not the length of the golf course that it's defense, right? It's not even the length of the rough, although that's a big deal, and we should talk about that. But it's the contouring and the ways that hey, you can land in the fairway and not stay in the fairway, and you can be on the wrong side of a fairway and have a weird lie that the course is going to have to ask you to hit a draw from a hanging lie or something like that. And it's a lot like an Augusta in that way, where the contouring is really important to the course, and the bunkering is really important, obviously. And those are still kind of where they have been historically. But just think about how many iterations this golf course has had and the types of champions that it tends to put out there. And you've got to have a heroic round to win at Oakmont on Sunday. And so you're talking about a golf course that if you're going to win this golf tournament, if you're going to become a major champion at Oakmont, you're going to have a really, really good Sunday round. And it's not, like I just watched the 2016 this weekend. Lowry starts this tournament. This starts the final round 3 shots clear of anyone, and I think 5 shots clear of eventual winner Dustin Johnson, and does not have even it's not possible to hang on and white knuckle your way to a win there. I'll just say that. If you're 3 shots clear of the field, you cannot go par it to death and just say, like, I'm going to play safe and make pars. Those don't exist, right? You will put yourself in a position where you're going to have to be okay with bogey. And if you don't make birdie where you can make birdie, you're not going to have an even par round, because there are no 18 par rounds at Oakmont. There might be like a 7 birdie, 7 bogey, 4 par, even par round. That's out there. But, like, you really have to make a lot of your opportunities where you get them there. And I really like that. I think it's going to be really good viewing for the people. And it also narrows the type of player who can win it pretty dramatically. So I think going back to my take where this year we're going to have 0 first-time major winners, we are now 2 for 2 on that take. I feel very good about that this weekend. And I think there are a single-digit number of non-major winners who can even contend here.
Ross, anything you wanted to add on Oakmont real quick before we get into the players?
For me, obviously, it's up here on the wall for a reason. This falls into the traditional category of traditional golf, the toughest test. It falls just in that Northeast region where, honestly, it's up to everyone.
Pittsburghers are going to get mad at
you for this. It's up to that region is unbelievable for this tournament, and we're going back to a traditional setting, a traditional place, and when it comes to a course like this is one of those courses that you root for the course. You root for the course to win. I want to see the final score come in that, Rory McIlroy or Scotty Scheffler won the U.S. Open, and they posted a score of 2 over after 4 days of grinding this shit out, right? The last time we came here, we got a score over par. It's one of the last over par scores we've gotten for a U.S. Open winner. That's why we're back here. That's why we're doing this again. This is where we even it out. That, just like Tweeth said, this isn't that, you're 3 shots, 4 shots clear of the field. You can't do that. You need to go and you need to work your balls off and your bag off and keep going and try. And you need to accept the mistakes. You need to make the mistakes, and it's just going to happen how it happens. And this is one of those things where the course bites back. Where if it's not the contours of the course, they've set it up where it could be the rough of the course. And if it's not the rough, those greens are fast as fuck and running fast as fuck also. So be prepared that I know they've been teasing and it's been everywhere, but if they're running greens at 15, 16 on the stem, guys, if you miss a little, you're missing a lot.
Not for nothing, but with as much rain as they've gotten, right? If it's not hard as hell, and I know they've got ways to make it to delete the water out of the ground. So, like, don't tweet at me. But with the amount of rain that they've gotten, like, their greens are going to be lightning fast if they make them whatever speed they want.
Right.
But there's still moisture in the blades of grass. There's still moisture in the ground, which means that, like, balls are going to spin. So you're going to see guys, like, rip wedges from the back to the front. Like, all of these greens, any of them that slope back to front, like, they're going to be really hard to hold with a full shot. So now everybody's got to hit take some spin off it, club up, hit a knockdown shot in there to try to, ease it up to the pin. You have to play creative approach golf. And we'll get to, like, what kind of player is going to win here. But to me, like, we're not talking. I would almost throw the driving statistics out entirely because everybody hits it far enough. And, like, yeah, maybe the Bombers have an advantage, but, like, I'm going to talk a lot about approach play when we talk about players, because, like, that's the type of thing where, like, you better play that game really well.
And I let's go ahead and get into that conversation right now, because that's honestly where I was just going to take it anyway. Obviously, you got to in my opinion, you got to have all parts to get it done. At some point in time, you're going to be tested in many different ways. That's what Oakmont is. But the approach play, I think, is really important as well, Tweeth, because that spin control and having the proper distance control is going to be so important, not only to give yourself a proper birdie look to go and actually convert on the few birdie opportunities that are out there, but when guys do miss the fairway as well, which is going to be happening here, like you said, 18 par round at Oakmont is not going to be happening. There's going to be ups, there's going to be downs. And when you miss the fairway, a lot of the time you're just going to have to be pitching out and you're going to be playing for par at that point. And making sure you get to the proper tier, have the proper spin control to leave yourself the best look possible is definitely something that I really harped on this week, as well as just having the full, complete iron game, because to me, Oakmont asks you so many different questions. On some holes, it's going to ask you to go and hit a tight wedge in there close on a 400-yard par 4. Well, then there's, some par 4s that are up over 500 yards where you're going to have to go and hit a long iron in. Like, it's going to ask you to hit so many different type of approach shots. Something that I outlined specifically in my article for my preview this week was you're going to have to be good with your wedges. You're going to have to be good with your long irons. There's going to be long par 3s. There's short par 4s, long par 5s where you're going to have to lay up and probably have a wedge in for your third. So that approach game is something in particular that I really wanted to outline. But Tweeth, for the type of guys you're thinking about, I know you said there's, in your mind, only a handful of guys you'd really even consider. What is that kind of mold that you have in your brain for guys who have a legitimate chance this week?
Yeah, so obviously major pedigree matters, right?
Always.
How do you handle the stress of being able to having to take your medicine in that situation? So that matters a lot to me, but I'm not sure it matters to the course. I don't think the course cared that Dustin Johnson hadn't won a major yet the last time he won there, right? So
true.
For what fits the course, right? Everybody's going to tell you it's a combination of length and accuracy, and length is maybe a little more important than accuracy because everybody's going to miss fairways. I agree with all of that. I'm not blind to any of that. I'm not covering my ears on any of that. That said, I think there are a lot of people who hit the ball far, and I'm not sure the 3 miles per hour in ball speed between Minwoo Lee and Scotty Scheffler and Minwoo Lee are probably 10 miles apart, but the 10 miles per hour in ball speed between Minwoo Lee and Scotty Scheffler, let's use those two, matters as much as Scotty Scheffler's ability to control his golf ball from there. And to me, it's hey, once you've met the sort of minimum standard of I'm not short, right? So we can take out your Zach Blair. Sorry, let's throw one guy who qualified for this tournament who's not a long hitter. If he's watching this, he will not be surprised to learn that he's a long hitter. He's aware of it.
Zach Blair just clicked unsubscribe.
Yeah, it's taking shrapnel. You can, if you're not those guys, if you're not just glaringly short, if you're in that camp of hey, I've got 175 casual ball speed, then to me it's just, do you hit your irons good enough to hit it to 15 to 20 feet with regularity? Because there are no guys who are going to hit it to 3 feet every single time. Maybe Scotty, that's it. But can you hit it to 15 feet from a lie that's not comfortable for you? Can you, like I said, club up and take some spin off from a 125-yard shot so you don't rip it back off the front of the green or send it over the back or whatever? Can you, manipulate a wedge out of the rough to still hold a green that's not friendly to you and is sloping away? Can you do that, right? And I think your guys this is where I get nervous for Larry with the Cam Young stuff or whatever. He doesn't have that. He's a really great PGA Tour golf course golfer. But I'm not sure he has that ability. And I mean, you don't have to look a lot farther than his third shot on the 18th hole at the Canadian Open, when he's got to hit a wedge out of an uncomfy lie in the rough to puttable distance to try to get into a playoff. And he hoselled it 50 feet. It did not make contact with the club face. That's a problem, right? And so, I think the top of the odds, that group at the top, your Scotty, Rory, John Rahm, Xander, Colin Morikawa, these are major winners who can control every aspect of their ball flight. Sure, take your pick of those guys, right? I'll even grant you, although I don't have to run the disclaimer, I'll grant you Justin Thomas. But when he's playing well, which is, he'll play well 3 out of 4 rounds these days. You can't shoot 80 at Oakmont and stay in it. Sorry, JT. But like if he's going to play really well, great. Sepp Straka, not a long hitter, controls the shit out of his irons. If he's going to hit the ball just enough, fine with it, right? But like, talk to me about like a Tommy Fleetwood, right? Talk to me about a guy that like a Tyrrell Hatton. And the guy I'm going to tell you, like, on the non-major winners side is like suddenly the guy I think has the best chance of all those. Talk to me about Joaquin Niemann.
Whoa.
I know.
Whoa.
He finally got a major top 10 and like.
And now you're all in. Chips all aboard.
Tell you what, man, like if he shakes the shell of I don't play well in majors off, Oakmont is the kind of golf course that he's going to do that at. Like this is the kind of golf course that says like, hey, you have all the shots, go show me. He can like, I thought he played really well at Quail Hollow, but Quail Hollow isn't a golf course that's going to separate Joaquin Niemann from, I feel like I'm slandering anyone. I'm going to say Alex Noren.
Zach Blair.
I'm going to say, well, I'm thinking of somebody who played well at Quail Hollow. And Alex
Noren
played really well at Quail Hollow. And like, I'm not taking anything away from him. But like, Alex Noren and Joaquin Niemann are not the same talent level right this moment. But Quail Hollow isn't really a golf course that can differentiate them. Right. And I'll say JT Poston too, just to be fair to like also not the same talent level. Love JT Poston, not the same talent level. Quail Hollow can't separate them. Oakmont can't. So like that group is to me like if you give me a major winner in that group and like let me take a flyer on Niemann and Fleetwood. And like you can do away with the whole bot. I have some favorites that I like. It's the top 5. But like, if I'm putting my own money on, there's no chance I'm putting actual dollars on somebody to win this tournament who isn't one of that pedigree. That's not one of the top 15 or 20 most favored players who has already won a major. Like, I'm sorry that's chalky, but like, if you're Oakmont is the golf course where you go chalky. Like, it doesn't produce fluke winners. It just doesn't. So I've kind of rambled a lot, but like, give me ball striking Jessies who have major pedigree and do everything at least good, if not great. And I just think there's only 10 guys who it's a very small number of guys. Right?
I agree with you in that sense. And it's just kind of how I felt about PGA Championship, US Opens the last handful of years, right? Like there are guys who can go pop up and finish T5, T6. We just saw it at Quail Hollow, right? Like a lot of those random guys finished T5 or T8 or whatever it may be. But the legitimate winner of this golf tournament, it's going to be one of the studs, especially considering how well most of them are playing at this point. Again, we've seen like so many different multiple winners. The cream is really playing at the top of their game right now. I'd be really stunned if it's not one of the big dogs. And I think most people should be targeting those guys, and I think they are for a reason because
but that makes for a boring podcast, so we should go down the list a little bit.
No, we'll definitely talk about other guys who, again, maybe can't win this golf tournament, but there's definitely ways to go and hang around, and that's even one talking point I wanted to get into here real quick. Yes, Dustin Johnson, who was bombing it and hitting it long and straight with that total driving ability, won here last time, which is exactly the same conversation I was just saying, but Jim Furyk was in second, Shane Lowry, Scott Piercy, Sergio Garcia, Kevin Na finished 7th. Like, these are not guys who
and go watch that DJ round. He's everywhere. He's in the church queues. He's in the long shit. He's in the street. He's
typical
everywhere.
DJ final round at that time. Never easy.
But you know what he does from every one of those places? He hits the green. Yeah. Right. And like the dude just like found a way to put the ball on the green. And then, he's got a 45-footer, and, like, he'll run it right by the hole in 2-putt. Like, it was a very efficient round of golf for him. And then on the back nine, it became heroic, right? And there was obviously the weird shit about the rules. Then, he shouldn't have to deal with all that, and is what it is. But, like, the thing that his driving put him in a really good place to contend, but the thing that won him the tournament was his iron play from all those weird lies.
Yeah.
So, Tweeth, there's a key there that you've mentioned this entire time about Oakmont is the iron play. Can you guess which top dog I did not include in an outright this week?
Oh, is it all right? So like this isn't like, oh shit, how did I not think of this guy, right? Because it's like Scotty's the best iron player in the world. There's a top dog who's not good right now with his irons, and you're gonna ask me to guess who is this top dog that you didn't pick because he's a bullshit iron player. It's Bryce DeChambeau.
Right now, yeah.
It's Bryce DeChambeau. The motherfucker can't, and he might be playing brand new irons. I keep saying the MF word. Sorry, guys.
Keep it clean, dude.
Yeah.
It's more than welcome at this point.
This is a family show. He cannot control the spin on his irons. They all go left. I don't know if the new ones go left. Maybe he's fixed it, but like he did a very, I would say, good to very good job at Pinehurst of this. But he also got up and down from goddamn everywhere.
Everywhere. It was insane.
And same thing like Wyndham Clark, same thing at LACC, got up and down from goddamn everywhere. Like, that's not going to work here. Right? It's going to be too buried at some point. Right? It just won't. There are no friendly lies around the green. Right? So, like, you're going to have to hit more greens than that. There is no, like, you're not going to one putt a lot. And so I don't have DeChambeau anywhere near. Like, I get that people are like, oh, it's just like Winged Foot. This place is just like Winged Foot. He's given us the playbook for this. He was the only player under par or whatever, him and Matt Wolff that year. I just disagree fundamentally with the similarity of those two golf courses. I think Oak Hill is a lot more like Winged Foot than this is.
So really what I want, that was the perfect answer, because what I wanted to lead this into is that it doesn't matter what he works on, everything. That shit is not going to work over 4 days here.
Yeah.
And that is why just no. If you want to play a top 20, top 10, top 5, like parlay, best finish, whatever, great. Yes, I can believe in that. I can see that. But an outright win, that shit is not going to fly here over 4 days. It doesn't matter that you think you've made the adjustments, you've found what you think you found. That style that you just described and how he has worked his way out of it, that will not play here for 4 days.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's just go ahead and then get into all of these players since we're already there with the Bryson DeChambeau conversation. Got to start with Scotty Scheffler, though. And at the beginning of the year, guys, we rattled through our predictions of these major championships. Congratulations to all of us. Rory McIlroy at the Masters. Good for us on that one. I had Scotty Scheffler winning the U.S. Open here at Oakmont because I thought it was a great golf course for his total driving ability, because not only is he, I would say, the most accurate of the drivers at the top of the board, he consistently hits the most fairways between Rory, Bryson, and Rahm, I would say. But he's also, as you've mentioned, Tweeth, an incredible iron player, the best in the entire world. And not only does he make few mistakes, but when he does make mistakes, which again will happen to everyone on this style of course, he's the best at recovering from them. So what are the feelings about Scotty Scheffler? I know it's a tough ask, obviously, getting there at like plus 280, 3-1. He's obviously there for a reason. We scared of Scotty this week? I know I am.
Yeah, although, like, let me give everybody who's not betting Scotty a little bit of a light in the darkness. Scotty's really, really, he's gaining strokes putting right now. And that's been the sort of like switch that got him, that's getting him across the line. He's got 4 wins in his last, whatever, how many starts? 3 wins in his last 4 starts. Is that right? Anyway, the thing that's getting him across the line is a plus putter right now. At Oakmont, I'm not sure he can play that, hit it to 3 feet and make the putt game, right? And like, that's the memorial, is like, just hit it inside of a hula hoop for your entire back nine and make every putt. Like, I don't see that necessarily happening at Oakmont. There's going to be a lot of 20 to 25 footers, right? And I'm not saying whoever wins is the guy who makes all the 25 footers, but it is the guy who like converts some of those. And like, I haven't looked at the numbers. Somebody can data golf me to death on this. I would guess that Scotty isn't any better than anybody else from that. And he might actually be worse from 15 to 25 feet than someone who has to rely on that distance a lot. It would stand to reason, right, that Shane Lowry is probably a better putter from 20 feet than Scotty Scheffler, because Shane Lowry has more putts from 20 feet than Scotty Scheffler does in a typical round. Scotty Scheffler hits it to 6 feet every fucking time. And so, like, I'm a little concerned that he doesn't have the reps from farther away because he never hits it farther away. And like I kind of like, if you think back through the Scotty Scheffler Rolodex, how many like Tiger at Torrey Pines on the 18th hole, like, oh, he made that, putts are in there. Like that there aren't a ton. It's all hit it to 2 feet, right? It's all like just bludgeoned you to death with, he's Iceman, right? No mistakes, waits for you to do something stupid, he's got you. Like, there's very little heroic, especially putts, heroic putts in the Scotty Scheffler mental Rolodex. Compare that to someone like Jon Rahm, who does that all the fucking time, right? Who's always burying a 30-footer when he has to. Or someone like Tyrrell Hatton, who does that all the time, even though he's mad about it every time he does it, right? Or like, so like there are guys who like can look at a 30-footer and go, I know how to make that go in the hole. And I'm not saying Scotty can't. He's the best golfer in the world. He does everything well. Was that a Brooks Koepka point to the PGA?
No, I just know I think a bunch of them.
You're pointing at the flag over your shoulder. Koepka does that too. But yeah, like there are guys who like are just can stare down a 30-footer and be like, hey, I know how to put that in the hole. Cam Smith does it all the time. JT even does it from time to time, even though he's a bad putter. Xander does it all the time. And so like a lot of these top guys can do that. And I'm not sure Scotty has that like sort of at the ready. Like, hey, remember the last time I made a 35-footer to win a tournament? Because he never has 35 feet, ever. And so like, I think this golf course, because it funnels shit away from the pins and you can't hit it a lot of them. And like, you got to get comfortable at 22 feet might be harder for him because it takes him out of the game he's used to playing more than it is for someone like Fleetwood, who is kind of used to like playing fairway and green and making 18-footer here and there. And so like, that's where my concern with Scotty is like, he's long enough off the tee. He's accurate as hell. He's the best iron player in the last 25 years. 20, that's too far. 18 years. Best iron player the last 18 years. He's not the best putter of the last any number of years. He's a better than average putter. And I just don't think that like lengthy clutch putt thing is something that I want to bank on if I'm only getting plus 275 or whatever. Like it's just not like I was sure he was going to win at the Memorial. I picked him in one and done because I was saving him for the US Open. And then I was like, no, everybody's going to use him there who still has him. I'm going to go ahead and just get my guaranteed $4 million out of the Memorial. And it was like obvious he was going to win that because he can hit it 2 feet every time. But you can't do that here. And so that's where I think like the odds aren't good enough for me to consider it. He's the best player in the world. No one would be shocked if he won. But like, I'm not going to be on it.
Yeah, I feel the same way. And to add to that too, if for the people out there who aren't going to be betting Scotty Scheffler this week, like all of us, I presume, I do think putting is really important here. And fast putting greens have never been like necessarily Scheffler's forte outside of Augusta National. And then also just the importance.
Big outside of.
Yeah, big outside of, very true. But I just think putting inside 10 feet in general is going to be a very important stat. And you're just going to have so many of those knee knockers. And again, that's not necessarily... I know he has hold those clutch putts, and like you outlined, he definitely is capable of it. No one would be surprised if Scotty went and won this thing, but just one little tidbit I wanted to include there. And I think
track of 3 putts among like these like top like 6 or 7 guys, because I would guess that like, let me read them out: Scotty, Bryson, Rahm, Rory, Xander, Colin, Neiman. Let's stop there. That 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guys. I would almost be willing to bet that other than Morikawa, maybe Scheffler has the most 3 putts out of that group, because if he's ever not inside of 30 feet, like he may hit it 8, 10 feet past. And it's again, like he's one of the best lag putters in the world. This is not like, I'm not calling a shot here, but I just think like he's going to be out of his element a little bit. And he's not a guy who ever plays cautiously. Like for as mistake free as he is, he's not a cautious golfer. He takes on every pin, he tries to make every putt. And I just think like he could easily have some like real bad 3 putts.
Well, I'll tell you what, Tweeth, a guy who could win in that debate, considering the way he putted last week, is Mr. Rory McIlroy, who had one of the worst rounds of his entire career in the second round to go and missed the cut. And it has not been not been all that great for Rory since winning the Masters tournament. Has not been able to really keep the ship going. He's lost strokes with his irons in 3 consecutive starts, lost around the green in 2 of 3, and the new driver that he put into the bag after everything that happened at Quail Hollow, getting driver tested, and then he doesn't talk to the media because he was pissed off it got leaked. There's some issues there. I don't think anyone's feeling good about Rory McIlroy coming into this weekend. Because of that, his odds have risen. Bryson's odds have dropped. So now Rory's the 3rd favorite. Where we stand on Rory this week, fellas?
Rory's on my card.
Rory's on the card? Where's the confidence from? Give me the spiel. Give me the spiel.
Rory's on the card. Look at the year, man. It doesn't matter. We finally broke through the final wall. We have the wins that we have. That I'm gonna take. Our rule usually as a group is we don't dip under the 10 because at that point it's just let's play the field. One of the best players in the world is sitting there at 12 right now, man. I'm okay with taking the risk that yeah, the mentals may be all fucked up. We may be all over the place. But if anyone can show up and play this course and just play this course correctly and just take and give a little bit and, and obviously vice versa, the give and take in return, whatever the course gives me, I play this. The game is there. We know the game is there. We've seen the game there this year. It's just a matter, can he find it? That number is high enough for me to go bite on. I'm sorry. If it's a Scotty, Bryson down there at 2.5, 7.5, whatever, no, I'm going to go play the field. We have Rory McIlroy sitting out there at 12. 12 is the lowest number I'm seeing on Rory right now. There's higher out there.
And he'll probably get bigger.
Well, that's what I mean. The fact that that's available, I'm going to bite on that and just say that, hey, Rory actually might be pissed off enough after these past few appearances that he comes out and just smokes the fucking field and says, actually, no, you know what? I decided to win another one and just shut everyone's mouth.
You're a bolder man than I am.
Going to piss him off more?
Fire.
All right. This is either going to piss him off or it's going to motivate him. I hope you listen to this, Rory. We all said completing the career Grand Slam was going to free Rory up. I thought we meant free him up to win more majors. What we actually meant was free him up to care less about golf. Because he said he has trouble practicing. Why? I don't have it in me to go practice for 3 or 4 hours right now because I did the last remaining thing. As like the diest hard Rory guy in the world, that's not a Rory I'm used to. I'm not used to the Rory that took off the golf's the most important thing in the world to me mantle. And I do not have a lot of confidence right now that he's taking his game seriously enough to merit the kind of consideration that he's getting. That said, it's a major. And if he cares about golf at all, and he does, it's still his whole life, even though he's been taking it easy, and even though Quail Hollow didn't go the way he wanted, and the Canadian Open definitely didn't go the way he wanted, and his driver's not in a place where he wants it, he cares enough about golf, he cares enough about major championships, and he cares enough about course architecture to know what question the hole is asking as he comes to it, and to try to execute the shot. So, sure. But for me, I don't think he cares enough about his game right now to go do battle with Scotty, Rahm, Xander if he's healthy, Morikawa, Neiman, that group we just kind of went through, DeChambeau, whatever. I'm not sure Rory cares enough right now. And that it just is what it is. I'm just not used to it.
Yeah. Glass half full, Ross. Top 10s in each of his last 6 U.S. Open starts. Getting better with each incremental start over the last 6 as well, as obviously finished runner-up each of the last 2 years. I'm just kind of feeling the same way that Tweeth is. I just don't know if he really cares enough. And to me, what does Rory still care about? I just feel like he'll care much more about that Open Championship later on in the summer more than this one. And I also think what else he cares about is winning the Ryder Cup on the road in the United States. Neither of those are the U.S. Open right now. Could he stumble into victory here, Ross? Absolutely. Is 12-1 a fair number? Absolutely. I get your case. I'm just not personally there.
Which is totally fine, but this has also been a conversation sidebar with friend of the program, CP, that we both agree that I just don't know if people are used to or ready for this next version of Rory, of the I talk when I talk, I play when I play, I win when I win. I did everything that was asked of me. I've accomplished everything that I hope to accomplish. And I just think there's a dangerous volatility about that where, yes, is Rory probably focused on Ryder Cup coming to Bethpage and smashing Team USA right in the face on their home turf? Absolutely. I think that's a focus. But also, what's another way that you pump up for that is, oh, by the way, I'm also your reigning champion on top of doing this.
I totally feel you. Totally feel you. A quick question from the chat. I did not want to leave this hanging. Just wanted to find a good little point in the conversation to bring it up. What would a 1.1 handicap shoot this week at Oakmont? What do we think there, fellas?
From the tournament tees?
I would assume so. I didn't get that after question.
Yes, we are taking questions.
We are taking questions. I promise. I just didn't want to interrupt the middle of Rory McIlroy dialogue.
Okay, so like I think that course like rates like from those tees. I think the course rating is like a 76. So like let's start there. A 1.1 would be would be expected to shoot like 77, 78 or whatever. Now you add like the tournament conditions. If they're playing it Wednesday, right, and they get to play with their buddies and they play alone, I think a 1.1 shoots 82 to 85. I think if they're playing it in the tournament, maybe like 90. No, that's unfair. 1.1 is really good at golf.
Really good.
It's really good. So let me say, I'm going to say 80 on a normal day and 85 in the tournament. That's what a 1.1 shoots at Oakmont.
Yeah, I was going to say
First time out.
In the soft conditions, it has been raining these last couple of days with softer fairways. I think right around 80 is doable, but once that place gets firm and 1.1 is damn good, much better than I am. I'm not like talking down here, but it's just going to be harder to control your ball all the much more. So I would say, yeah, breaking 85, 86 would be a pretty damn good score in tournament conditions.
I'll also say that
in firm conditions.
It was great content from the golf.com team. If any of you guys are watching, my guys, Zephyr and Claire and Sean Zock, Zock had a great bit of content where he played Erin Hills and Oakmont back to back in the same, 36-hour stretch. He's a 7, I think, 6 or 7, something like that, like a good but not 1.1 golfer. And I think he shot 82 at Oakmont. Now I think the tees were up. That was like the media day tees. They're probably at the rough at 4 inches, not 6. That kind of thing. But it's still all the teeth is there in the greens, that sort of thing. And so and he got some weather, that kind of thing. Great video. Zock's a good dude. Really, really like that stuff. Seems like a great guy. So yeah, I think for sure, maybe a 1.1 goes and has a great day there. But with the teeth in it, in the tournament conditions, it probably starts with an 8. Great question. It's a fun hypothetical. Yoshi guy, ask more shit. I love that. That's fun. Let's ask more questions. Let's field questions from the audience.
Absolutely. We need to get more people in the chat here frequently. We would absolutely love that. Before that, though, is we do want to get through some of these guys here at the top of the board. John Rahm is really the one guy here at the top that we haven't talked about, right?
That's my pick.
Mixed heart. Okay. I'm in between Rahm and Bryson, and Bryson's odds getting absolutely crushed does make it really difficult. But I was there with him for the U.S. Open victory last year, and I was there. I had a ticket on him at the PGA Championship this year. And Ross, I definitely feel the iron concerns 1,000%. That's the number one issue, I think, with Bryson. I still just believe that his driver the crank driver is working. He's the best driver in the world right now. And I love his putting upside among the top of these guys. And if he just plays his irons a bit better, I think he's right there, and I do think that's a feasible ask. I do worry that he's not going to be able to get it up and down like he did at Pinehurst, because that was truly one of the most remarkable around the green performances I've ever seen. And of course, getting up and down from the sand bunker that no one did all week long to go and put the cherry on top there. It's going to be really hard for him to replicate. And plus 750.
The only other person was Johnson Wagner.
Shout out Johnson Wagner, baby.
So
but if it's not Bryson for me, it's probably Jon Rahm here at 12, who, by the way, in 2016, low amateur here at Oakmont. How about that?
So, is that true? I didn't know that.
I went back and watched the final round, and
That's
they're
great.
at the podium.
I missed that.
It was obviously Dustin getting his trophy. It was Shane Lowry, madder than all pissed because he just shot 6 over 76 to blow it. Yeah. And there I saw in the corner was Jon Rahm. And I was like, wow, just mix it the PGA. Good vibes on this course. We've seen, I don't know if this holds any weight to you guys, but Angel Cabrera, fader of the golf ball, scumbag of a human being, but fader of the golf ball. Dustin Johnson, fader of the golf ball. Jon Rahm, fader of the golf ball. What do we think here?
I'm just saying, I had this conversation with CP earlier this week. We can no longer have these bad talks about people that go to jail, because now you have Angel Cabrera and Scotty Scheffler. Both went to jail, both very successful golfers, and there is a pattern that is established. Facts are facts.
We're not going to be equivocating what Angel Cabrera did with ripping out pants on this podcast. All right. So I want you to tell me what you think Bryson DeChambeau does better than Jon Rahm.
I think he putts better than Jon Rahm for sure.
I agree. I think he's a better lag putter specifically, for sure.
They're similar drivers, though. They are similar drivers. Bryson just has the distance, no doubt.
So I would give Bryson like a 2% edge on the driver. I would give him maybe like a 5% edge on the lag putting specifically. I would give Rahm like a 30% edge on iron play. Like it blows him out of the water. Not even close. And so and the other thing is that the get up and down from around the green stuff is fine. Like what Bryson does really well is he controls the low point because all the irons are the same length. And he can kind of even the wedges are the same length. He knows where the club is going to bottom out every single time. If your ball is perched up in 6-inch rough, you no longer can play that game. If your ball is buried in 6-inch rough, you can no longer play that game, right? You can't make your textbook swing anymore. You have to do something creative with a wedge. And Bryson has to do it with a wedge that's the length of a 6-iron. That's going to be really fucking hard. It's going to be hard. And
it's crazy.
So Rahm is and that's probably unfair to Bryson to say he's a generationally different iron player. He's not. When Bryson's on, he's as good as anybody. But Bryson has an issue with the lefts under pressure. And it's a glaring weakness in these major championships where the irons just aren't good enough. And I'm really skeptical of his ability to play the wedge game from deep rough and to play the wedge game from these lies that Oakmont's going to give him if he's not hitting greens. And so those two, where I get better odds on Rahm, it's not even a question for me. They're not even in the same level of consider. If I was tiering them out, Rahm is in tier A with Scotty and whoever else you feel you want to put up there, and Bryson is B to B minus. And I get that the driver is such a weapon. I just fundamentally think the comparison between Winged Foot and a course like that and Oakmont is totally predicated on the idea that it has long rough, and that is not the point of Oakmont. Winged Foot has long rough, but then all the greens are receptive, and you know what you have from there. Oakmont has long rough, and then everything around the green is treacherous, and those are two fundamentally different challenges. And so I don't buy the comparison enough to put Bryson in that camp. I honestly think Neiman is a better pick than Bryson. I think Morikawa is a better pick than Bryson.
Interesting. Ross, you got any thoughts on Rambo before we head down into this next tier?
I'm going to be completely honest. I looked at him along with Rory. I went with Rory here. And the only reason is just I might be a little impartial, but everything else lines up in my mind to go Jon Rahm. But I've been on such a bad streak lately that we're gonna go the opposite way and just say Rory's gonna bounce back. But my pick starting up until this morning would have been Jon Rahm. starting at the exact same number.
Yeah, I'm down between Rahm and DeChambeau, but Rahm at nearly double the odds of Bryson is probably where I'm leaning right now. But
he's a popular pick. Like, you're gonna get the stink of every dumb idiot like me.
I know,
but
yeah, thanks a lot.
And also after last week with the whole shit with PGC, you know what? Rory McIlroy.
Who?
Done.
Yeah, who's that?
Yeah, exactly.
Next range, though, two guys I do want to bring up here real quick that I think are fascinating. Xander Schauffele, Colin Morikawa. Any interest in either of them as former major champions, Tweeth? Both of them two-time major winners. Xander off injury. The driver just hasn't been consistent, but he's an incredible U.S. Open player. And then Colin's
I am somewhat interested in the upside of Colin Morikawa.
30-1 is a great number.
I am somewhat interested.
There was such a better setup to that.
Oh, go do it.
It would have been so much more comedic when I said I was going to take Uncle Tweeth's knowledge that he's given over the past few weeks and that I absolutely hammered Xander.
Oh, yeah. I don't listen. Until I see evidence that rib injury is better, I don't know what to do with Xander. Like, dude, I think he's about to lose a year out of the prime of a career that would have been primed for another major win to this rib injury. And I'm not sure we fully understand what he's dealing with. But he's not right. And I've already wasted him in one and done and waiting for him to come around thinking, he's fine. He's just, and I don't see it. So, he's one of the better U.S. Open players of his generation. He's up there with Rory on the consistency scale. But where Rory is lacking the want to, I think Xander is lacking the can right now. I think he just is physically inhibited. So I'm a little interested in Morikawa because he hits it so straight, because he hits so many greens, and he can hit all of the approach shots. I'm a little concerned with his 30-foot putting, just like I am. I think he's the candidate for most 3-putts in this group. But I'm off of Xander until I see evidence that he's healed.
Yeah, I was on him at the Memorial, and I think his irons through the green game is fine. Just off the tee, there's no consistency right now. He can hit it far. He just can't hit it from the fairway, and got to be hitting it from the fairway relatively.
At least sometimes, right?
Yeah, it's
at
least
you don't
sometimes.
Have to, everybody's going to be in the rough, but not everybody's going to be in the rough all 18 holes. And if you're in the rough all 18 holes, it's going to be a real fucking problem in this golf course.
It's going to be a shit show. Justin Thomas is one of those guys who I feel like one of those guys he's going to find himself in the rough multiple times. Here's the bet for Justin Thomas. To shoot the new course record at Oakmont and to not win the golf tournament. That's the bet.
A good bet. I really like that. What's the current course record? Is it still 63?
I don't know, actually, off the top of my head. I don't have it there, but that's the bet for Justin Thomas.
Somebody's probably. Nobody in 2016 beat that.
Lowry shot 7 under 63.
63,
I know.
Okay,
yeah.
So that's the number. Listen, could he shoot 62 on Friday to make the cut after shooting 81 on Thursday? Absolutely. Yeah, love the bet. He's probably going to shoot 65 on Thursday and be in the lead, and I'll have to sit there and look at his dumb ass. But honestly, and I'm going to bring this up any chance I can. We forget he was in contention going into Sunday at Troon.
Yeah.
And then he shipped that first tee shot as far. He had the entire continent of the entire island of the United Kingdom to his left, and he put it as far right as a human being has ever put a golf ball into the ocean. That's going to happen again if he's anywhere near the lead. There is no world where JT shoots under par for 4 straight rounds, or even shoots close to par for 4 straight rounds. And so there's going to be a 79 or an 80 or an 81 mixed in there, and that's going to be enough to take him all the way off the board. Not even for a top 5. No, thank you.
His bad's just too bad. His bad is just too bad. There's no consistency when he doesn't have his best stuff. I'm with you, though. Morikawa, I think, is really interesting. Even though it hasn't really been good for him since the Masters, I do worry about him like actually doing it down the stretch on Sunday. But 30-1 is a much bigger and more fair number than he's had for probably the last year and a half. And we talked about his iron game. So I do think he's an interesting fit here. Two other guys we got to bring up real quick. Ludwig Åberg and Joaquin Niemann. Two guys that have never won majors. Tweeth, are those two guys that you would consider throwing on the card this week that haven't won majors before?
They're the opposite player, right? Ludwig has zero issues with what skill he brings to the table at any point. Has the pedigree, has finished second in majors, that sort of thing, has shown up on the biggest stages, but is not in form right now. Joaquin, on the other hand, has taken a really long time to show up in majors. He has every shot in the book, but they don't all come with him every week. And he's in the best form of his career. I don't know what you do with that, but to me, like, give me form in this scenario because the talent level is close to equal enough that I want Joaquin in this moment.
How the tables turn.
I would not have said that. But, like, I think he really did, and I'm going to give, like, all of my live guys, the soundbite they want here. But, like, he showed me a lot on that Sunday, even though it was a backdoor top 10 or whatever. He, like, went out there and played his ass off and didn't just phone it in and shoot like a casual Sunday beer round at Quail Hollow. He really, like, went out there and played his best golf. And again, like, Oakmont is the type of course that when you bring all the shots, it will open a door for you. And so between the two of them, give me the form and I'll take Joaquin.
I agree with you. I like Niemann over Åberg this week as well. There just hasn't been any consistency in Ludwig's game. Ross, you feel the same way?
He's on my card at 30.
Waco?
Yep.
I've really thought about it, and this is great. This is great because I was catching flack for saying I think Niemann can top 10 2 majors this year. He got one at Quail Hollow, and again, I think this is a really good spot for him. Yes, winning on live is completely different, but there's still something to be said about it. And I don't know.
Not for nothing, he wins on very different golf courses and all across.
Yeah.
He wins on any surface he's not like Nadal where he's like a clay guy only, right? It's like, go put him on clay, put him on grass, put him on hard court. He'll win everywhere. Like, that takes you have to have a lot of shots. And he hits the ball a long fucking way too.
He's got game.
I went with form and the previous performances of finally breaking through, really just breaking down that wall of this is the narrative that you can't finish this high. And like Tweeth said, the backdoor top 10, get it. But still, did you do it? You did it, right? You broke through. That's a come up. That's still a come up. And guess what? You just won again. We're spiraling into this. And for me, at that number, you can't not just say, yeah, absolutely. He's playing hot golf. You take hot golf when you're hitting the summer. Sorry, guys, but it doesn't matter if you're live, PGA, whatever. Yeah, Waco's on the card.
I agree. I'm thinking about him for sure. Definitely agree. But some other names to throw out here as we kind of get to this back half. I feel like we've gone through the guys who we expect to be there, right? As Tweeth and I talked about, we feel like there's probably only a legitimate handful of guys that can actually win this thing. There are some names from down the board, though. Patrick Cantlay, Victor Hovland, Brooks Koepka, Hideki Matsuyama. None of these guys really in like great form right now, but all guys who have at least some pedigree to their name. Who are some guys from further down that you would trust to at least put themselves in position to go and win this golf tournament?
I have one that I think Uncle Tweeth and I might be on the same page on. Just given the number at 50, I do have Septic Tank.
Yeah,
yep.
I get
You're
it. Both on them. I love it. And Tweeth, you basically outlined the good reasons for it earlier. He's
shit out of his irons.
one of the best iron players on the PGA Tour and can actually make putts. He's basically Shane Lowry, but he makes putts. Like, not long off the tee, but puts it in play.
Totally.
Great
what
iron
Shane
player.
Have shot in 2016 if he could putt? Like,
he might have reached double digits. He might have reached doubles.
At least give me an each way or something like that. You know, like give me something that pays if you top fives. Do you want two more names farther down?
1,000%. Hit me with them.
All right. Elite iron player with plus distance off the tee at 100 to 1.
Keegan?
Where am I going with this?
Keegan?
Justin Rose.
Harris English.
Oh, my boy. I had him at the PGA.
English. Played great at the PGA. Right? Was what do you top the T8? Something like that? He maybe better than that.
Runner
T4?
up. T2.
Oh, no. Yeah. He was not in the final two groups. Yeah.
Backdoor, but T2.
Yeah. Great player.
Won this year?
Totally. Winner, like a guy who is not going to be afraid of the moment. Let's just say that. So I like the HE profile. Very Dustin Johnson-y, by the way. Like his skill set, all of it is like it's like he's like Diet DJ in a lot of ways.
Harris, yeah. He's kind of maybe this is a crazy comp. He's not as good of, but like he's very similar to Scotty. Just plots his way around and sometimes makes putts.
Yeah, and kind of unbothered by.
Yeah, like there's not a lot to him, but he's just working his way out there, and I love that about him.
All right, and then this is a guy that like I don't know what form he's in. I know that he played well at the Masters. I know he's one of the best iron players of a generation, and he has the best short game I've ever seen. Patrick Reed is like 150 to 1 or something like that. Like, is it going to shock you if Patrick Reed is in one of the final 2 or 3 groups on Sunday at this championship because he's the one who can get up and down from anywhere?
I think that's a really good point that I didn't get to bring up earlier, Tweeth. With the way that the rough is, I think it's just going to be a little bit of a luck game around the green unless you're absolutely fucking elite around the green.
Unless you're a generational short game.
And who's absolute... Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, and there's only, like, 3 guys who are. It's him, Phil, and Speed. And
we didn't get to Jordan. I wanted to bring up Jordan.
Sure. I mean, like, listen, talk about a guy who can't keep it on the planet. You're going to be there like 18 times. Like, I have a really hard time co-signing on Jordan off the tee. I'd much feel a lot better co-signing on Patrick Reed off the tee. And then, like, again, great iron player. And if he misses, like, he's one of the, like, 3 or 4 guys on the planet that I trust to get up and down from whatever lie you're looking at. Like, and I don't know if he cares enough or if has 4 days of golf in him or, you know, whatever. And I don't, maybe the Masters is just more special to him. But I mean, it's a major championship and he's in the field, and where Augusta separates the cream from the rest of the crop, Oakmont's going to do that too. And Patrick Reed was on the right side of that equation at Augusta. And I think like he's not getting the respect he deserves as far down the board that he is. I don't like the guy, but that's just a fact. Like there's no reason he should be 150 to 1 or whatever the fuck he is.
Yeah. I like the show.
I was going to say, here's a fun little thing I actually saved for the 2 of you. Given with me, card-carrying USGA member with the U.S. Open. I did 4 $1 flyers on these guys.
Love it.
And I wanted your opinions as I name these off. I'm just going to go one by one. Doesn't have to be long, but I thought this would be a fun thing that we do outside our normal cards. This is the 4 $1 flyers. We're going to kick it off. And the first one is going to end up being Justin Rose, 110 to 1.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love
proper
the vibes.
iron player.
All he cares about are these majors nowadays. 1,000%. Need to check in with Joey Ricotta as our resident Justin Rose whisperer here.
Not for that. He's been top 5 in 2 of the last 3.
1,000%.
So, like,
110 to 1 makes sense.
So I was going to say, fair. Move down a little bit. 171. We got Minwoo Lee, Dr. Chapinski.
He converted his name he got a partnership with Lululemon, and now he went to Minwoo Lou to go full on brand.
Oh, man. Minwoo
yeah,
Lou.
Lulu.
I wish I could trust him more. I think he's a first round leader play, to be honest.
After that, you know, we got to ride with our guy Larry.
Oh, got to.
We got scam.
Let's do it.
I got scam at 200.
Oh baby, what an epic win that would be.
If you just put 1,000 on it, you'd stand to benefit more than he would.
Who else you got here, Ross?
And the final one?
Is it Ryan Gerard?
No, guys.
Oh, wait, give us the odds and let me guess what the player is.
Yeah, what are the odds on this guy?
300. Let me look.
Is it Phil? Is it Phil for the Grand Slam vibes?
Oh, is it? I think it's Davis Riley.
It is Phil for the 300.
Got it.
I like it. Listen, it would be the greatest golf story. I mean, it would be. 2019 Tiger is so good, but like, Phil already has maybe the most impressive major win by an old guy ever.
It doesn't get talked about enough.
The 86 Masters. It's insane that he won that.
Insane.
That PGA. If he won this, I mean, I might never stop talking about
it. He might be the guy.
Well,
it might be the most insane thing, this insane week a person's ever had. It would blow like the Tom Watson almost. It would blow that out of the water.
For sure.
Well, I present to you Ross's 4 major flyers that
I like that.
Just $1. Hey, let's
there's 2 guys that are kind of like in that like B+ range that we didn't really talk. We talked Lowry for like a second. Like I would sniff Lowry a little bit. No problem with that. Can we just say Tyrrell Hatton's name just so we said it? Like again, proper iron player.
Port Rush.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Proper iron player. It would be weird. I mean, it wouldn't be the craziest thing to think Tyrrell Hatton's never going to win a major, but against one of those guys that like, it would make a lot of sense for him to peel one off. And Oakmont's a tough one to peel off. I think Port Rush is a little more, makes a lot of more sense. But like, just want to, like I said, Fleetwood earlier, I want to say Hatton, like, give me the proper iron players in that little group of like, hey, if those are the guys who derail my only no first time major winners, I'll feel fine about it. Right? They're proper players.
Shane,
yeah, but if we go back to our initial episode to start the season, my biggest take is that we were gonna have a live golfer win 1 major this year, and it was going to be Tyrrell Hatton at Port Rush for the Open.
Shane, if he wins this week, because I've had money on him the last 2 weeks and it's been absolutely painful. If he goes on to win this week and I don't have money on him, it might just be the end of me. But I don't think there's any way I can get there considering what I've seen. The irons are incredible, but he can't do anything else when it matters besides that. And it absolutely makes my brain want to melt. So I'm probably going to end up passing on Lowry. The one guy, I don't know if I'm legitimately going to get there. I think he's one of those guys we'll look back on this leaderboard and he finishes T4 and we're like, oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense for the year that he's had. Russell Henley, like Bay Hill, the Memorial.
The year that he had in the top Bay 5. Hill or the year he's had since Bay Hill? Because they're 2 different years.
He just finished top 5. Yes, it was backdoor at the Memorial, but it was the classic Russ Henley way where he just makes a shit ton of pars and no birdies and doesn't do a whole lot of anything.
Again, also the guy who can, when he's on, hit it to 3 feet and make the putt and not worry about doing anything magical, which isn't going to work at Oakmont. I think, to me, like that whole, like once you get to Straka, who's at like 50 to 1 in most places, that entire list until you get to 100 is, I'm going to just read you the list real quick. I'm not touching any of these guys. Brooks Koepka, Patrick Cantlay, Corey Connors, Victor Hovland, Russell Henley, Ben Griffin, Spieth, Matsuyama, Sam Burns, Daniel Berger, Aaron Rai, Tony Finau. No.
None of those guys I'm really considering either. You didn't say Keegan in there, did you?
No, Keegan's at 100, and that's when it starts to get good again.
I'd consider Keegan for sure at 100.
Yeah, but like
in the Northeast,
like, Corey Connors, fine player. Victor Hovland, searching for it. Whatever. Spieth. Love him. There's enough has been said about Spieth. Hideki, great player, not playing great right now. Like that. There's a lot to like there and nothing to love. And you're not giving me any reason to love it at 60 to 1 or whatever when I can just swipe one more time on my phone and get to all those guys we like Harris English and Keegan Bradley and Patrick Reed and Justin Rose and miss me with Aaron Rai at this championship. Miss me all the way.
In the outright market, for sure.
By the way, great iron player, Aaron Wright too, but just missed me with it. Like he doesn't, no. Nobody wearing 2 gloves is ever going to win a major championship at Oakmont. I'll just say that right now.
That would be an insult.
So here's a fun little one just for us to fuck around with. For a $5 fuck it, a Scotty Scheffler outright ticket with a Ben Griffin top 10.
Okay.
What's that come out to?
Is 19-1.
Okay. I like where your head is going with this. Like, hey, if you're gonna
find a way to bet Scotty,
find some other shit to add to it, like Scotty and Thunder and 6. Like whatever. Like,
yes.
You're gonna have to like, do some shit like that.
That's the only way I ever play Scotty is like it's gotta be so and so makes the cut and so finishes top 10. And then it jumps into like a 34-1 range. We're like, all right, I'll spread a couple bucks on it and whatever. Honestly, it's hit most of the year this year because it's just that's the way Scotty plays. But yeah, for a U.S. Open for plus 1990 is Scotty Scheffler outright and Ben Griffin somehow backdoor top 10s it.
I don't hate where the head is at, like Tweeth said. I got a couple guys I just wanted to bring up real quick. 3 guys, don't have to go in depth on them, but long shot guys who I think are interesting numbers. I mentioned Keegan already. Don't think he's going to go back to back, but 120-1 Ryan Fox, I think is kind of a disrespectful number for someone who like has played in at least a handful of major championships in his career. And I believe has 3 career top 25s, like a top 20 bet on Ryan Fox, I think is probably one that could profit. I think he hits it long enough. I don't have confidence.
Game not good enough, can't putt. Like that's tough for this field. Top 20, sure, but
I think not at a stigma 15, 16.
I agree. I think the top 20 would be the smarter bet. I just think that's a little bit of an insulting number. 2 guys, interesting numbers. I'm not going to bet Cameron Smith, but elite short game, 150-1. I feel like of a PGA Championship US Open, this is one of the better setups for him where it's not you have to absolutely mash it with driver. And we mentioned that elite short game. I just thought 150-1 was interesting. And then probably
player.
What's up?
Not a good enough iron player. Sneaky bad with long iron.
I mean, I said I'm not going to get there either, but I just think it's an interesting number for a guy who won a major not all that long ago and has a special short game. Andrew Novak, 170-1, probably better in the top 20 market. Like hard golf courses, he's handled himself well. Again, probably guys that aren't going to win this tournament, but can hang around. You could probably find a way to make money on them in some way. Just some interesting names I wanted to shout out, but anyone else we wanted to mention or that we left off? I know we're well over an hour here and you boys are on the East Coast, so don't want to keep us running forever, but also didn't want to leave anything out that we didn't get to yet.
I think like low am would be a fun market to get in a little bit. There's a lot of like really good college players that got in through open qualifying. That would be like, like basically everybody on Auburn's team is in there. Tankersley from Ole Miss got in. There's like a lot of like spicy AMs in this field. And so that would be kind of like a fun,
I want to see where the 17-year-old high school junior
Mason Howell
ends up. Yes.
Does he beat the Denfluencer?
Dude, everybody's and I've gotten so many messages about that Dennis guy. Listen, again, for people who are never going to listen to this, Matt, if you're listening, I fully respect that you went to dental school and finished it. I hope that you're practicing 4 days a week. It doesn't appear that that's the case. I hope you win, whatever. Not for me. I won't be following your week this week, Matt.
Tweeth, if you happen to have any like low am props or bets or anything, I do believe I'm going to be running with Joey later this week. So if you want to toss them over, I'll make sure to get them out on the show. If you do wind up getting into that market whatsoever.
I haven't looked at anything. I'll just tell you that like Cam Tankersley from Ole Miss has a nasty short game. So just like put a pin in that name if he's not one of the, because there's Jackson Buchanan's in the field. There's there's a lot of really good AMs in this field. If he's not one of like the top 3 and you can get some good odds on Tankersley, like nasty short game.
Noted. One quick question before we get out of here. What's the winning score, fellas? What do we think the winning score is at?
I don't think it's possible to have a winning score over par, but I think Oakmont is going to try. I'll say -4.
I was going to say -3. I do agree. I think someone, just with how good these guys are these days, someone's going to be able to shoot under par, but it's going to be a great test. And that's what I love the US Open for. They will make it a test. I got -3 winning score.
You know what? For the first time in my life, I'm going to take advantage of, I don't have these, so I'm going to go, we have a 2 over winning score, boys.
There you
2
go.
over.
There you go. That. I would absolutely love to see that. Angel Cabrera, like I mentioned earlier, won at +5 in 2007. Let there be carnage. Shout out to Xander Schauffele in his media session for knowing ball and saying, I think people tune in because they want to see us pros be in an absolute fit out there. And that's what I want to see. Absolute carnage. We'll see if that's what we get this week at Oakmont. I think we touched on everything we needed to touch on. So appreciate you guys for sticking with us for an hour and a half. If you're still here, make sure to go and subscribe to On Tap Sportsnet over on YouTube. Check out ontapsportsnet.com for all the coverage we'll be having on this week's US Open at Oakmont. Thank you again, everyone, for tuning in. Until next time, crack 'em, lock 'em, and have a great rest of your night. Peace out.